like to call to order the Proctor City Council meeting for Tuesday, September 3rd. Could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll perform roll call at this time. Councilor Benson?
Present.
Councilor Reuter?
Present.
Councilor Johnson?
Present.
Councilor DeWall?
Present.
Mayor Ward is also present. Please let the minutes reflect Attorney Hanka, Administrator Rich, and Megan Mizuko, and all others in attendance. Looking for a motion to approve the City Council meeting minutes from Monday, August 19th, 2024.
So moved.
Councilor Reuter made the motion, seconded by Councilor Johnson. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Looking for a motion to approve the City Council budget working session minutes from Thursday, July 11th, 2024.
So moved.
Councilor Benson made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Sent by Councilor DeWall. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Looking for a motion to approve the City Council meeting, special meeting minutes from Monday, July 15th, 2024.
So moved.
Councilor Reuter made the motion, seconded by Councilor Johnson. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And looking for a motion to approve the City Council budget working session minutes from Monday, August 26, 2024.
Moved.
Councilor Benson made the motion. Is there a second? I'll second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Looking for a motion to approve tonight's agenda. I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Reuter. Any further discussion?
Ms. Mayor, if we can move 5B
Thank you.
off of the consent.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
We're just.
Here, we'll get it on the next one here. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. This brings us to comments and suggestions from the citizens present. The public comment and suggestion period of this meeting is when the City Council offers a time for everyone in attendance or watching from home to address the City Council. Once we move on from the public comment and suggestion period of the meeting, members of the public will no longer be allowed to address the council unless the mayor acknowledges you. As a general rule, the council will listen to all comments but will not comment on or respond to any comments made by speakers. The council will not engage in dialogue, however, any council member can ask questions. If you'd like to address the City Council during the public comment and suggestion period of the meeting, please come forward to the podium or dial 218-628-6289. Before you begin, please state your name and address for the meeting minutes. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Anyone addressing the City Council will be prohibited from using obscene, profane, or threatening language or boisterous conduct that disrupts the meeting or the security of the public. Is there anyone at this time that is interested in participating in the public comment and suggestion period of the meeting? Please come forward now or dial 218-628-6289. We'll give that a minute. Hearing none, we'll move on. Looking for a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda. I'll make that motion and going with Councilor Benson of moving 5B.
I'll second that motion,
Councilor DeWall.
agreeing with moving 5B and 5C.
And 5C. Councilor DeWall seconds that motion, pulling 5B and 5C. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. And that will bring us to 5B, Legislative Agenda Memo. Counselor Benson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, Council. I thought this would be an appropriate time to put the legislative agenda for the city of Proctor on our agenda. We got elections coming up, and between now and the opening up of the legislative session will be quick. We've talked about the Munger Trail Spur often in the past couple of decades. Infrastructure bonding, always needed. Certainly, Senator Hochschild has promised us that that's the top of his agenda. We had talked about briefly bridges and viaducts, and it's just not a problem with our city, but a concern of most, and I think that it's a worthy item to bring up at the legislature to help with that. Employment issues, that's been a reoccurring item on our agenda, and I think we could expand that to our legislators. Local government aid, we're always looking for additional funding, especially for Proctor, because we, back in 1977, the state took away our gross earnings tax, and we've kind of been suffering a little bit ever since. Audits, economic development, those things are, we have to do, and perhaps we might be able to get by with an audit every other year instead of every year. That would save us money. And every community needs a community newspaper, and I think a Journalism Preservation Act would certainly help that. It's important for government to let the people know that what we're doing is transparent, and community newspapers do a good job letting people know that. And this is as much as trying to get the big tech corporations to pay their fair share. You got your Google and Meta, and they steal the news content, and they grab the local advertising that would go to community papers. It's been successful in other states, and Minnesota should look at it as well. And one thing that did not make the agenda was the Preservation Alliance of Duluth last week listed the roundhouse as an endangered building. So maybe we could work with the property owners and see what we could do to save that historic structure. So with that, if anyone has any comments, suggestions,
No, you got
expanding
it.
on this extremely brief background of this list.
Administrator Rich, since there was no bonding bill last year, do our requests still remain down in St. Paul, or do we gotta resubmit those?
We will have to resubmit.
Okay. So the first two I know are on there already as far as requests, the Munger Trail and the infrastructure. Are we gonna be submitting both those again this year?
Yes, correct.
Okay. But you had some other good ideas on this memo, Counselor Benson, so I think it'd be worthwhile to explore.
Yeah, I could work to expand on some of those items, but it was just something that I threw together rather quickly as I was sitting at my computer. But yeah, these are something I think that's probably going to be on a lot of cities' agendas, audits, economic development, local government aid, employment issues.
Well, I like that third one too, after what the county told us on the bridges in town here, that, we possibly could be responsible for those in the future, so that may be of an interest for the city to explore, so. No. Any other discussion on that? No? Thank you, Counselor.
And thank you.
That'll bring us to 5C, St. Luke's Arena Parking Improvements Accommodations. Counselor Dwell.
Yeah, I believe Councilor Reuter brought it up under members' concerns last meeting, although I don't see it in the minutes. Just curious, I guess, nothing is present to us currently, but the request back in May was to have a plan. What is their plan? So just bringing that up, looking for sometime in the near future here, what is the plan? The request that go back in the minutes, but I believe I requested a plan. Minutes dated back to 2017 indicated that if there was ever an issue with parking up there, that we would approach them and they would address it. And what I'm asking for is a plan. That's all.
Thank you. Any other discussion on that?
Well, I think it's, one thing we ought to impress upon them is, we want a plan, but we want a plan that's gonna happen in the next couple of years or something, not, we're gonna do this 5 years from now. It's been long enough, I think, and it's getting to be a big problem, so
Plan with a time frame.
that would be nice.
Thank you. Any other? Hearing none. We'll move on to 6A, Resolution 50-24, approving the preliminary levy. So at our last couple of budget meetings, council was in discussion with Finance Director Brunfelt to set a preliminary levy of 7%. As we all know, you can lower the levy, but you cannot go higher. So if council is still comfortable at the 7%, we'll entertain a motion to approve a preliminary levy of 7%.
So moved.
Councilor Reuter made the motion. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Johnson. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Brings us to 6B, Resolution 51-24, Market Rate Adjustment. Again, at our budget meeting session, our last budget meeting, we discussed the citywide market rate adjustment of 5% for all employees. And if council is still comfortable with that solution, then I would entertain a motion to approve a citywide 5% market rate adjustment for all employees employed by the city of Proctor.
I'll move, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Benson made the motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second
Se-
for discussion.
Seconded by Councilor DeWall for discussion. Any discussion?
I'm not against it, but I think between the unions and the negotiators, I think we need to talk about this first.
What do you mean, Councilor?
I think we need to negotiate this into their contracts.
Well, and the way the market rate adjustment works is if cities are falling behind, they do a wage study, which Finance Director Brunfelt performed. And that's why at the budget meeting was that 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we discussed this in quite some depth to get our employees up to, would you say 75th percentile? No, not even? Okay. And
It
then,
varies by position, but
yeah. And
Above 50th.
Above 50th, yeah. But you got to reach out to the bargaining units that are responsible for the CBAs and let them know this is what we're looking at. And at that time, we did discuss going into negotiations to seal up a longer-term agreement with them. And it's on the agenda for tonight, so if council doesn't feel like what was discussed at the budget meeting is appropriate, then it can be voted down too, but yeah, I mean, this was all discussed at the budget meeting.
And I'm sorry I had to leave the meeting early with that, but I just firmly believe that we need to sit down with the unions and discuss this and put it in there.
Councilor Reuter?
Well, this started as a thing to look at how we can recruit and retain the police department people. And not like we're having any trouble anywhere else, But the way the economy's gone and everybody knows prices are going up, I'm not surprised at all that we're behind by this amount. I just think that, I'm in favor of this. I think the employees deserve it. I just think that they should understand that, we're doing this because we think it's the right thing to do for all our employees,
No, and I would echo that as well. Unfortunately, we fell behind, and like you said, because of the times, wages have gone up quite a bit, and even the smaller communities that I know I represent have gone up drastically, especially their PDs. I mean, they skyrocketed because it's a battle everywhere, right? People, loyalness isn't what it used to be. People are going to go find more money, right? And that's okay. That's the way the world works right now. But the loyalness is kind of a thing of the past. So I agree with you that this is a goodwill effort to show our employees that they're valuable and we want to retain them. And
hopefully this is something that they will remember when it comes time to do the next contract and how much they think they need in wages and things.
Yep.
So
yep. Councilor DeWall?
Yeah, I would just like to expand that. I am in favor of the market adjustment, 5% across the board. I would like to have our administrator reach out to every union and start setting up times. One, to just let them know what we're doing. And the intent is not to say this is a part of your 3%, 2%, whatever it is the next few years, but to use it as a good faith effort. Here's what we're looking at. We also want to look at the next 3 years. And we tend to run about 1.5 years behind because we always generally start October of the year, and it's never enough time. I would like to see it, a letter or something. I don't think there's any agent out there that would not agree to sit down. One, it gives us an opportunity to say, hey, we know we fell behind and we're going to do this. No matter what, we're doing this, and we'd like to sit down and start hashing the next couple, 2-3 years, and here's where we're looking at right now, and get that ball rolling sooner rather than later. Because I think if we started next month, we'd be lucky to finish by the end of next year. Just seems like it's a 12-month deal. So that would be a letter to all of them.
Yep, I would agree with that. It's good communication, and yeah, we can get the ball rolling. Any other discussion,
So then,
Councilor Johnson?
do we table this
Well,
until we have those meetings?
there's a motion and a second on the floor, so if
We're
we'll,
still in discussion.
I don't think there's any reason to table it, Counselor. I think if we send a letter out, we've figured out how we can do this and pay for it. I think it's going to help Jess, the administrator Rich, to, when she sends these letters out, that we're serious and we want to sit down and get through this so that we can be content on this subject for the next 3 years through 2028. Should be, because our contracts end year end of 2025. So I think it shows, I'm okay to call them a vote on it. I don't think we have to table it any longer. I think we just get it rolling, and at our last budget meeting, finance director kind of alluded to us what the cost would be or impact. We kind of speculated the most applicable next payday that we can change the system over, whatever that is. I don't know when our last payday was, but the most next convenient payday to have this reflect in that. I know we talked about that. I don't think we went through specific dates. We just kind of left it up to the payroll.
this will be effective the payroll ending September 8th.
Yeah. So however it works. And then I'd just like to make sure that in the next week or so, we reach out to the units and start scheduling that.
I'm okay with that.
Any other discussion? Administrator Rich, is this for the fire department as well? Because I know at the budget meeting, there was some discussion that they weren't interested in this. I don't know if that's still the case, or maybe Chief Helquist can answer that, but is it are they included in this as well?
The resolution says all employees, so yes, it does
Perfect.
include fire department.
Sounds good, thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Brings us to 6C, Resolution 52-24, 2024 Budget Amendment. In your packet is a resolution approving the 2024 budget amendment for what was just voted on regarding that 5% market adjustment. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 51-24?
I'll make the motion.
Counselor Reuter made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor DeWall. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. 6D, Resolution 53-24, ARPA designation. This was also another item discussed at the budget meeting a few weeks ago, but in your packet is Resolution 53-24, designating the use of the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA recovery funds, and it was discussed that we'd use these funds to purchase the plow truck for the city of Proctor before 12/31/2024. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 53-24?
I'll move 53-24.
Counselor DeWall made the motion. Is there a second? Second by Counselor Johnson. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Brings us to 6E, Resolution 54-24, Tourism Grants. So in your packet is a memo from the Tourism Committee looking for approval of 2 tourism grants in the amount of $1,500 each, one going to the 2024 Scandinavian Festival and one going to the 2024 Naughty Wood Carver Show. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 54-24?
I'll move, Mr. Mayor.
Counselor Benson made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Reuter. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. 6F, St. Louis County easement agreement. So again, in your packet, there's a request from St. Louis County for an easement along that back almost 40 acres behind the old hockey arena. It looks like they're doing some culvert work there, and they got a price tag of almost $750. Looking for a motion to approve the easement agreement between the city of Proctor and St. Louis County. I'll make that motion for discussion. Is there a second?
I'll second for the discussion.
Seconded by Counselor DeWall. Any further discussion? You want to go for it? You want me? Administrator Rich, in the letter that we got from the county, it says we got approximately 30 days to approve this offer. Is this offer still good?
It is.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. That will bring us to 6G, Resolution 55-24, SVF benefit increase. Again, at the last budget meeting, there's discussion held regarding an increase to the volunteer fire department here in town for their statewide volunteer firefighter benefit pension plan. It looks like they are at currently $2,400 per year service, and the request in our packet is for a total of $3,600. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 55-24?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Counselor Benson made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second for discussion.
Counselor Reuter seconds for discussion. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Counselor Benson.
Going through it, we had a third-party neutral put that proposal together. From what I understand, the fund could carry 100% over,
Well, I think they were 198% funded
198% funded.
based off 18 firefighters.
Yeah. So it seems that, again, if we delay it, we discussed it at the last meeting at length, if we delay it, we just fall further behind. You know, the same arguments that we had with, or not arguments, but the discussion with that market rate adjustment.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I'll repeat myself from the budget meeting. That report, Councilor Benson, that you're referring to is based off 18 volunteer firefighters. The limit under the ordinance through the city is 25?
Plus 3,
25 firefighters plus 3?
medical.
So it wasn't true I mean, it's true numbers based off 18, but if they were to hire 10 more people, then that funding percentage would go down. And again, I'll use the report that I talked about at the budget meeting. Right now, there's 214 volunteer fire departments that are in that fund, and there were 58, if my memory serves me correctly, 58 that were ahead of us as far as their pension benefit after their 20-year career, or longer. As our chief sits there, he's got 28. So, and my concern again is if you start going quick, I mean, Hastings had $11,000 per year. Is that our goal? Is that what we're shooting for? I don't know what the goal is, but I worry if we shoot too fast, too soon, we may lose firefighters. I mean, we've raised it in the past and it didn't help with recruiting. Hopefully it will, but I just don't see that.
My feeling on this, Mr. Mayor, is that, I don't know, there's a lot of ups and, things that can change. We've got election year, the stock market's been up and down like crazy. This is all based on if everything stays the same. It's fully funded if everybody retired right now. But that's not gonna happen. It's gonna happen sometime in the future. If I understand right, they can come back next year, maybe we give them $600 this year, and then they can look and, by then, the elections will be over, hopefully the market will kind of tell us what's gonna happen,
And
and they can come back and maybe ask for 3,800 next year, and it'll be something we think we can do. It just seems like a big jump, just.
And I agree with you. I agree 100% with you. And hopefully if we bump it up, I mean, that's still a nice bump in it. Hopefully that'll help Chief Helquist out with recruiting, and maybe we can get a report that it closer reflects what our top number is of 28.
Well, and I don't know, Chief, we did this 1 year. Is that gonna affect anybody? You got anybody that's gonna retire in the next year?
Yeah. Please.
As far as I know, talking to everyone in the department, I can't tell you what the younger members are gonna do. I have no idea. But I can tell you the core group of people that's there are going nowhere. And, the idea behind this was we went into para, like we said, we went into para for this whole reason. There's minimal cost to the city now, where before we were thousands of dollars in auditing fees being and all that. We used the numbers that para gave us. We didn't ask for 1 cent more than what, going to this, being funded at 136%, going to 3,600, and, Para's goal, one of the first emails when we first went into this, their goal in mind was 125%. Is to always stay at 125% or more. And looking at these numbers and running the stuff that we've done, part of this report is a little bit flawed. I 100% agree with you, but it's flawed in the wrong way for your decision making. This report doesn't reflect the $10,000 contribution that we put in last year plus the interest, because that money was not deposited until January 2nd. And this report came out as of 12/31. So So we're actually, to Mr. Benson's point, we're funded more than
198.
over 100% of what's there, so.
Just a follow-up question, Chief. I understand the 10 grand didn't get included because it was this year's reporting, and we're looking at last year's reporting. How many current active firefighters and first responders do we have today?
At this very second, 21.
Okay, so it kind of offsets a little, probably more so to being fully funded because you're only adding 3, but you're still adding 3. I agree with the chief. I agree with Councilor Reuter. I agree with, I don't want the core group that volunteers their time to not have any incentive for doing that. We know that it's hard to get it up to 28 like we once were.
25.
Well, I always go with full numbers because whether they're medical or just fire, they get the pension, correct? So.
They still have to get their points to get that.
Right, and I understand with the email from Para that we received, they don't put it as liability, even if we hired up to 28. It's not a liability for 5 years, but it's still a question into the future of spending money that we're not 100%. I'm a believer in a happy medium, you know, stepping it up, going half now, letting the dust settle with the election year, stock markets, this and that. I hope that it comes back equally percentage filled. That makes it that much easier to say, okay, we'll jump it again, another 600 or another 800 or another 1,000 or whatever. But I think it's the best way of, you know, at the end of the day, we're talking about taxpayers' money. You know, we're spending it. Because no matter what that fund does, at the end of the day, if it does great, it's an advantage to the taxpayer. If it does bad, we got to cough up the difference.
So the taxpayers are paying now then?
They've been, we put 10,000 in 6, 7, 8 years ago whenever we started that because we wanted to build this nut. So we took that from the general and we put it to your budget, and that is 10,000 that we added towards that. The city of Proctor, the council did that.
We didn't do that every year though.
No, there were some years when we needed turnout gear that was $2,500 or we needed a hose. It was always left in the budget. It was never taken back. So the savings is kind of construed because, yep, the audit is saving money, but we didn't take the 15 grand out of the budget back to the general. So it's still being expensed somewhere, somehow, just like the 10 grand is. I'm more of a believer in keeping it in the budget, but reallocating it other spots. Public safety fund, for example. We know we're going to get hit heavy on that for the next 10 years. But like, once again, I just want to say I don't want the core group to suffer either. So we've been trying to keep it around $100 a year, and I get it. It's kind of like, hey, we got to do something better than that because the fund is doing better than that. But I don't want to lose track of it either. Councils can change at the end of the year, and there could be, well, 2 different people on this council. So I don't know if somehow we can put it in so it doesn't get forgotten that as soon as we see the report for this year, we have another year of knowledge of, hey, where are we at active-wise in a roster, and 2, where are we at fund-wise, so that it's kind of like pre-orchestrated to automatically come up, and maybe you just tie it to next year's budget.
Every August you get them, right?
I thought it was September, but,
It's August,
and then,
by July 31st.
and it has to be, the council has to approve it by November 1st.
Correct.
So there is kind of a, they have a deadline when they want what it's going to be from council, whoever that may be. But it seems like we start budgets in, well, I'm sure our director of finance starts June, but for us, we kind of start in July. So however it may work out, I'd like to see it automatically come up once we get that report, whenever that day is. Because that'll keep track of the active roster that we have, And it also keeps track of the 3 deferred liabilities that they did include on that report. Because there could be more deferred liabilities, that could go up too. People that have more than 5 years that aren't age 50, you know. So those are the 2 things that I see as moving targets to just kind of keep a watchful eye on.
I just want to add one couple things, like, you guys talk about the budget, but the fire department does, I can't even tell you how many things we do that saves money from the budget. Hose testing, for example, you brought up hose. If we outsource that, it's 20 grand. We do our own. It's 5 nights at the fire hall, 4 to 5 hours a night. Just throwing that one out there. We had a guy that just spent about 7 to 8 hours rebuilding the foam system in engine 1. Cost the city nothing, nothing. So the amount of hours that we spend isn't just when the pager goes off. You brought up we weren't interested in the 5% increase. Never said that. All we said was,
Sure you did.
I didn't say it.
Okay.
I'm telling you now.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna get into a debate with you, Chief Elquist, but there was a council here that heard
My
it, so.
point of that whole thing, if that was mistaken, was adding 5% across the board to the fire department is not gonna make me decide if I go when the pager goes off. That was my whole point of that. Wasn't that we weren't interested.
Well, that's why I was clarifying today.
Yeah.
What,
So,
what,
no, that
what you
was-
guys
that was
wanted.
not, that wasn't the case. But I just want everyone to know that the hours we put in there, I mean, we're gonna run 600 calls this year. 600. And some of them are 10 minutes and some of them are 16 plus.
And I can't speak for everybody, but I'd like to. I don't think anyone up here is minimizing the work you guys do, one bit. It is a lot of work. But we gotta be fiduciary responsible too and watch our bottom dollar.
The cost to raise a pension is at no cost to the city. That money's already there.
Potentially. Potentially. Any other discussion? Councilor Benson?
There's like a food truck. We talked about recruiting, but also we have to add in there and think about retention.
Absolutely. And to that point, Counselor, I believe we're being very good at looking at retention. You know, we just did the 5% market rate. The equipment that we've spent for the all departments, street this year's getting a lot, fire's gotten a lot, PD's gotten a lot. I think we're doing our best here with retaining, but maybe I'm wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor say aye to increase the SVF fund from 2,400 to 3,600.
Aye.
Oppose? Aye. Roll call vote, please. Councilor Johnson?
No.
Councilor Reuter? Councilor Benson?
Yes.
Councilor Duval?
No.
Mayor Ward is a no. Motion fails for lack of support. Is there any other discussion to be had?
I'd like to make a motion that we increase it to $600 starting the first of the year.
Councilor Reuter made a motion to increase, seconded by Councilor Johnson. Any further discussion on that?
Not to make things worse, but we have to have the decision by November 1st, or does it start November 1st through para? I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah, that's a good question.
So if it's to them by November 1st with a dollar amount, does it go active November, or does it? Okay, so the motion's good. I just wanted to clarify.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Chief Elquist.
So we went with this 600, I appreciate it, not gonna ever not appreciate it. So every August then, I'm to understand that we're gonna come back and have these same discussions every August, and so this report is what we're going to use?
We'd like to see that report so we can base a
That's what
decision
I'm-
off
so
it, yeah.
This is
It-
a report that we're going to use.
Yeah, whatever report that fund sends you, but can I make a different suggestion to you? I would come to maybe our first budget meeting, again, like you did last time. Come to our first budget meeting, like, get it on our radar so we can start that discussion right away. Rather than at a council meeting, let's do it at a budget when we're talking about finances. Does that work?
I thought we were doing this in the first place, but.
Perfect. All right, that'll bring us to members' concerns. Counselor Reuter.
I just have a question about, it wasn't that long ago we found a gun in a locomotive, and we talked about doing some security measures to keep the kids from climbing off and using the locomotives as their cabooses, or can we look into what options we have there? I'm assuming we haven't done anything yet.
If I remember correctly, there was a budget line, and maybe I should be looking at you, but from the Trains and Planes Fund that we were going to look at securing that. Is that correct?
We put it in the 2025 budget, but we did put that in the 2025 budget. However, it is a designated fund, so it could be moved up into 2024 if necessary.
Yeah. So is that something you'd like to see sooner?
Well, I'd like to see us at least look into what our options are for securing it, get an idea how much that's gonna cost.
Administrator Rich? Work? Perfect.
Sorry.
Thank you. Is that everything? Thank you, Counselor. Counselor DeWall?
Nothing.
Thank you. Counselor Johnson?
I have nothing.
Thank you. Counselor Benson?
I have nothing to.
Thank you. I just want to thank everyone that came out to search for the missing 7-year-old and thank the Proctor PD for a tremendous job. Great community we live in when you get that kind of support when something like that happens. So thanks to everyone involved there. American Legion will hold its annual steak fry at the Proctor Moose Monday, September 9th, starting at 5 p.m. I think the food goes on the grill at 6, if I remember correctly. And then 5:45. Thank you, Counselor. And then St. Louis County will begin the process of the Community Development Block Grant Cycle, and we'll be holding an open house and public meeting here in Proctor at City Hall on Thursday, September 12th, 2024, from 1 to 3 p.m. Other than that, that's all I have. Looking for a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $352,914.49.
So moved.
Counselor Reuter made the motion. Is there a second?
Second for discussion.
Second by Counselor DeWall for discussion. Any discussion? Counselor DeWall.
I don't see the check number 08272024. Is that, we made a contribution the first part of the year, I see another check cut. Is that for this year or next year?
The contribution that went in on January 2nd was from the 2023 budget. It was actually mailed in October of that year. The one that's going out now is for the 2024 budget.
Is that the check I asked you about earlier? I can't find
Yes,
it on here.
that's the one
Okay.
you asked
All
for
right,
earlier.
thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Counselor DeWall made a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? I'll second that motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Thank you.